We want to welcome Robert Swainston, candidate for County Commissioner in District 2, onto the podcast. How is it going, Robert?
It's going great. It's raining, just what we want. It's a beautiful day.
It is. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We need the moisture pretty bad.
We do.
Appreciate you coming on and willing to do this with us.
Yeah.
You're more than welcome. And before we get started, I want to thank you two for your service to the Franklin County Fair. Because
Thank you.
It's because of guys like you that thing is successful. It's growing every year. It's fun for the community. It's a builder for our youth. And it's guys like you that make it happen. So thank you.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, we really do appreciate that. So we want to get into, you've been a county commissioner and you're running again.
Yes,
Tell
sir.
us a little bit, why do you keep running for county commissioner? And tell us a little bit about yourself along with that.
Well, so what you get is you start projects and then you like to see them to the finish line. And we've, over my time as a commissioner with Zan, the current commissioner's brother Dirk, and Boyd Burbank, we started some projects, and now with Zach and Zan's help, we're trying to finish those projects. One of them is a huge expansion at the fairgrounds. We built search and rescue building, an ambulance building, a district health board building. We're working on the senior citizens building right now. Let's not forget the addition to the courthouse.
Yeah.
And so I these things are happening, and I want to see them continue to happen and get them to the finish line.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're a local for those that, I guess you have to be a local to be commissioner.
You gotta live here.
You are a local, but you've been a local a long, long time. You've been part of this county for a while.
Well, I'm fourth generation.
Wow.
We started here, first homestead in 1897, and born, raised, and die here. That's what I'll tell everybody, and that's my plan. So, yeah, this is home to me. It's a beautiful valley and a really a nice community, and I want to help it continue to remain that way.
Yeah, and you're also a huge ag guy in the county. You're doing farming and...
Yeah, agriculture is how I make my living, and so, yeah, I'm pretty strong on the ag end.
Yeah, that's awesome. We like the ag stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. But okay, we'll kind of roll in. We talked before the podcast kind of started. We had some questions submitted by community members. It's the same questions we're asking everybody. So we'll just kind of roll into the first one here, and it's growth is coming whether we want it or not. What does smart growth look like to you for Franklin County?
I'm going to be honest with you. That's one of the same questions I was asked 9 years ago when I ran the first time.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it was longer than that. The first time I ran was probably 17 years ago. And that same question was asked back then. It was asked when I got elected the first time. It's asked today. And smart growth is... you're growing or you're dying. So we've got to have it. The question is, do we do it in a way that's kind of regulated, so it's not on the backs of those existing taxpayers that are here, but at the same time protect, private property rights of, the farmer who's been here his whole life and maybe hasn't lived high on the hog, but he's got himself a lot of ground. It ought to be his decision what he wants to do with that ground. And if that means he wants to sell it to put some homes on, it's not my place to tell him he can't.
Yeah.
That's a private property right that I don't want to step on. So growth has to be managed. We do that through the development code and the comprehensive plan. And, we're modifying that thing on an annual basis. We think we have a good one. A year goes by, we don't have a good one. Then we think we have, it's just a living, breathing document. We got to stay in front of the development. But the important thing is develop smart and not on the backs of those that are already here.
Yeah. And I mentioned in the last podcast, but I live by it. So I'm going to touch on it again just because, I want you to hear it too. But because you're a rancher, you're a farmer, and the economy is hard. Dairy prices, they're down. Beef prices are high, but then we're running into a drought year, so hay's going to be expensive. And this day and age, you said you're fourth generation rancher or farmer, but sometimes your kids don't want to take the farm over. And these guys, you said you make your living off of farming. And if you don't have somebody, you get to a point where you want to retire, that's your retirement. And this is, again, Cody and I are huge in ag. Our careers are based off of ag, but it's sad to watch a farmer sell land to a developer, but it's their land and they have to put food on their table too.
A lot of people have 401ks and stock market accounts and all that other stuff. The farmer has his ground.
Yeah.
And I don't know of a farmer in Franklin County who's just out there rubbing his hands together going, I'm going to make a fortune on this ground. He wants to farm.
Yeah.
And whether the economy will allow him to keep doing that or not, time will tell. But it's his ground, and he should have the right to do with his ground. You don't want to burden it with a fifth or sixth generation that doesn't want it.
Yeah.
So it's just a fine balance there, and for the most part in Franklin County we get that.
Yeah.
And it is what it is.
Yeah. So talking about ag, we want to roll into, had somebody reach out and ask, ag has always been the backbone of Franklin County. And in your mind, are we holding on to an ag attitude, or are we morphing into more of a suburbia? And what are your priorities in that regard?
Even in a small county like Franklin, I think there's a disconnect between where our food comes from, how it's produced, how it's grown, and how it gets to our table. And do I think ag is starting to take a back seat to some other things? I do believe that. Education, food doesn't come from the grocery store. Mm-hmm. It's got to start in the dirt somewhere in the milk barn or on the mountain. There is, and that's just society in general. There's a disconnect between where our food comes from and how it gets to our table.
Yeah.
And it's important that we keep ag important in Franklin County because it built this county.
Yeah.
And it's pretty important to the success of this county.
Yeah, I agree.
You're looking at me. We ready to roll the next one? Okay, and it kind of ties in. And again, some of these, they're questions we had submitted. As we got going on some of these, we'll give an introduction to everything. But a lot of it, some of it doesn't depend as much on the commissioners. So we're just kind of looking for your input here on some of these. And that's kind of this next one in my mind is, how can we bring more jobs and careers to Franklin County? Franklin County is growing with lots of homes, but not a lot of jobs.
That's a good question and a hard question because within the county, you get outside the municipalities into the county, and there's not the infrastructure to support, factories or any of those other things. We did in our latest development code change our zoning where you could petition to have a zone change to have that, but it's all going to hinge on infrastructure.
Yeah.
And if there's no water, there's no sewer. I don't know of a lot of that going to come into the county outside of your cities. And so, that to me, that's a great question for a Preston City councilman or mayor or some of your other outlying cities that have some of that infrastructure. I think we got to be friendly to it. Everybody wants to live here.
Yeah.
And there's only so many jobs here, so we just keep shipping them to Cache County. Mm-hmm. And in my opinion, that's affected the county a little because people know they can live in good old Franklin County, Idaho, a little smaller taxes, and some of the benefits we have. And with that 4-lane highway, 20 minutes you're at work in Logan. Mm-hmm. So that's a great question that I guess I'm really not sure what the answer is.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It definitely is a tough question. In my career, I sell cattle supplements, but I also do realty on the side. And so I make money off of people building homes and moving into the county, but I also make money off of the ranchers that are, living their livelihood and running cows and stuff like that. We kind of mentioned in our last podcast that there's been 400 new homes that are approved. And I know that's in the city, so that has more to do with the city. But, you do the math on that, 400 homes, 3 to 4 people per home. You're talking 4,000 people coming into the county, and this is maybe something that I want to understand a little bit better too, because I did kind of touch on it on the last one. But when you bring businesses into the county, there's a business tax, right? Like the county taxes the business, And that rolls back into the county? Am I wrong?
Well, I mean, there's the property taxes.
Property tax.
That all the businesses pay within the county, whether they're in the city or not. But, we have some really good industry in Franklin County.
Yeah.
You've got trailer manufacturers, you've got steel plants, you got dealerships. There's really some good business here. It's just it can't support job-wise the growth that we're seeing. So
Yeah.
And I'll be honest with you, I think if we brought the kind of business to Franklin County that would support us, I think you're gonna it'll change the landscape of Franklin County. It won't feel so rural anymore.
It's a double-edged sword for sure.
I mean, it really is.
Yeah, I mean, more businesses means more traffic, and can our roads handle it? And
and the key is just sustained growth. With if business wants to come, we're certainly not going to run them off.
Yeah,
I mean, we'll look at anything that's out there, but it's got to fit when it gets here.
For sure. No, that makes sense. So another question that was thrown at us is, you've been a commissioner for a while. Commissioner meetings are on Monday mornings, and you guys did just make the change where you're doing live recordings, giving the community an opportunity to get on and participate and be able to watch what goes on in the meeting. But the question is, what is your stance on the recording and the time frame of the commissioner meetings?
Well, first and foremost, I think the live streaming of the meetings has been a good thing for transparency. I think it's probably hard for people to get there, whether it's live stream or in person. But Franklin County has always had a Monday morning 9:00 start time, and a lot of that's because the business you're doing that's when people are. So your insurance companies, your grant writers, your whoever you're meeting with, most of if you're going to ask them, hey, can you come at 9:00 tonight? They're going to look at you like, what? Yeah. You want us to come at 9:00 at night? That's been talked about for a long time. Commissioner meetings at 9:00 on a Monday morning. The average person's not going to get there.
Yeah.
The live stream helps. The nice thing is we do have minutes. They're posted. They're available 24/7 on the website. So if there's something you missed, you can always go grab the minutes, read the minutes. It tells you what took place at that meeting. Those meetings, you can get a big one that'll last from 9 in the morning till 1:30 in the afternoon. So you can just imagine if you started that meeting at 5:00 at night, you're going to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way business has been. I guess if the community feels like we should go to a nighttime meeting, I just don't know how you accommodate the business you have to do for the county when you're meeting at night and you've got people traveling from wherever it is to get to that meeting. It'd be a little hard for them to do it in the evenings.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah, I mean, I attend them. We talked about that with the last candidate. I attend as many as I can, being on with the fair and everything else. And when I look at it on that side, it's, well, just make them do it that way. But you don't really go into the detail of, I've been there when, the state of Idaho sends somebody down. They don't want to come down at 5. So it's hard to make everybody happy. I do appreciate, and I think a lot of people appreciate the Zoom meetings that you're doing. And I know I look up the minutes. I'm sure there's plenty of people that do. So I think you're doing everything you can to get meetings out there. But it's been a question from people of, we'll just make them do it at 6 p.m. Maybe they're not looking at all the details like you've just talked about of some of the reasons of why you can't do it at 6 p.m. Yeah, I mean, really, they're business meetings for the taxpayers of Franklin County, and it's hard to hold the business meeting at 8, 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night when you've got people that want to come and do business with you. It makes it awful hard for them.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Perfect.
So we'll kind of roll into the next one here. What opportunities do you see right now that the county should be taking advantage of?
What opportunities do I see that the county should be taking advantage of?
And we can roll this into a longer answer too. Let's add to that and see if we can roll a bigger conversation out of it. We asked the questions, what opportunities are you seeing that the county should be taking advantage of? and we roll in, what is your, not your personal agenda. We're not saying that you have a bunch of things that you just want to change, but, what do you see that needs to change in Franklin County? And I mean, are there any simple, small changes that, residents might see a big difference out of?
Well, one of them is our EMS services. Mm-hmm. I mean, we talk about growth and but that all puts a strain on what you have now. And, we're volunteer EMS with just a couple of full-times. We don't have any paramedics on staff. And to do that would require a lot of money.
Yeah.
So what opportunities should Franklin County be looking for? And unfortunately, the state, our partner, the state of Idaho, is looking at it as well, that somehow we got to come up with a funding mechanism for EMS services. Mm-hmm. Because we're stretched pretty thin. We have been able to put a couple of agreements together with the fire department. Bless their hearts, they're going to let us store some ambulances in their fire buildings. One in Franklin, one in Dayton. Mm-hmm. I know they're looking at another spot in the county, which I'm sure that would be opened up. But some of those things just take time and they take money, and we have a lot of time, but we don't have a lot of money.
Yeah. That's true. I think, with growth, I mean, Cody, you can answer to that a little bit more because you've been a big part of it. But I mean, with the growth, I ran on ambulance for about a year, and you don't realize how much the ambulance and stuff goes out until you're a part of it. And as the community gets bigger, I notice, I don't know if a lot of other people do, but the ambulance goes out. Alone, the ambulance goes out a lot.
They run a lot.
And the fire department's been going out quite a bit. I mean...
Yeah, we've had some real busy years, and this might be another one with the weather situation we had through the winter. Knock on wood, hopefully not. But, EMS is a big one, and I agree with you. But, I mean, you mentioned the state's willing to help and everything, but is there anything local that the commissioners can help with? I mean, outside of just getting people to volunteer and do it.
Yeah, I mean, bless his heart, when Zan got elected, he went to work with the EMS services, the ambulance department, and, he's brought their wages up a little bit. He's made it so that somebody who's on call is actually getting a little bit for his time to be on call. So my hat's off to Zan. He's done some great work on the ambulance services, and we'll just keep plugging away. Is that the only thing in the county that needs help? Probably not, but... It's one thing that does.
Yeah, that's a big one for sure.
And and for the people, I mean, we're asking all the same questions to each candidate here, but I did want to, just while Robert's here, he's been a commissioner, so not to, give you an advantage here, but more just, can you educate us? Because Cody and I were going to do some research on what a commissioner does to help the people understand, but could you just tell the people, there's 3 commissioners, could you tell them, what zones, we have a commissioner that's over the fair board that oversees that. We have a commissioner that oversees the EMS, that oversees fire. And what are you guys overseeing in the county?
Well, I don't want to miss anything. So I can tell you, like, Mr. Bowles in District 1, his responsibilities are and this is what we're responsible for. Mm-hmm. So law enforcement, home enforcement, homeland security, search and rescue, snowmobile, ambulance, buildings, senior citizens, SICOG, Franklin County, Franklin City Liaison, Historical Society, Rifle Range, Drug Enforcement, TV Translator. That's one commissioner's duties. My duties are the fire, hospital, district health, juvenile services, planning and zoning, liaison to Preston City, recreation, board of guardians, waterways, magistrate commission, and Transportation Advisory Committee. And then Mr. Stewart, Zach, he's got the road and bridge, solid waste, weed, airport, abatement, extension, fair, soil conservation, veterans, economic development, cannery. He's our media representative and our website guy. So, I mean, you add all those together. Yeah. That's a lot, and I don't know if you even can remember half of them, but those are our responsibilities.
So how are those responsibilities divvied up between the commissioners? Does it stay with that district?
No.
Or is it kind of, you look at your strengths as once elected and go,
you're exactly right. So, a guy that has a strength here, there's no sense in putting somebody that doesn't there. So we meet every January, and we talk about, hey, is there something that's not working for you that maybe we can swap around? And we've done that. I mean, I used to have the fair, and Zach was on the fair board. So when he got elected, I thought, he's a natural fit for that. He understands more than I do how it works. I serve on the district health board, so for that reason I get that, because I understand a little bit how it works. And anyway, we just pick our strengths and then pick our departments and oversee them.
For the people listening, I want you guys to go back and listen to that list a couple times, and
I know it's available on the website because I have looked at it.
Yeah, it's
under each commissioner. It's listed, but I think a lot of people don't realize what exactly you guys are kind of over, and not as much in charge of, but you just oversee.
Yeah.
Because I know you work with those departments, and like Zach with the fair, he works with us. He doesn't just come and tell us this is the way it's going because that's what we decided. You guys are willing. You work with the department and try to get the best outcome for the community.
If we tried to do it ourselves, we'd fail.
Yeah.
That's why we have good fair boards, good hospital boards, good ambulance boards.
Yeah.
And then go on and on and on. Historical boards, all of those boards are, without them, we don't function.
And that's, this is why we're doing this, because I feel like they're, for the people listening, I don't think a lot of people understand all the jobs that a commissioner has, and then why it's so important to be involved in this, understanding it.
There's a lot of hats in your pickup. You got to pick the one you're wearing that day and go get it done.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. So, Robert, you've been commissioner. You've done some good things. What strengths do you bring to the role of a commissioner?
I'm conservative.
Yeah.
And I think that's a strength that I'm proud of. Taxpayer dollars to me are like my dollars, and I'm not going to waste them on something that I don't think is of benefit to the taxpayer. So I think one of my strengths is being extremely conservative, sometimes to a fault. Really, I'm open-minded. People say that he makes up his mind in a hurry, but it can be changed. We had a public hearing last Wednesday night on the herd district and fencing ordinance that we're proposing, and I thought it was perfect. And after we got there and the public spoke, we got some things we need to fix on that. And I'm open-minded, and I'm not afraid to do that. I like people, I like talking to people, and I like seeing results. So I'm result-driven and conservative.
Yeah, I think that's a great trait to have.
Yeah, it's great to hear, and I know you have, and I know all the candidates running. You're all open to listen to the public, but it's great to hear that, get that reassurance of, and like you mentioned with the herd district, you guys kind of were thinking one way, and people brought up issues, and you're going to look at it again. Absolutely. To give us the best outcome. That's great to hear from anybody in a commissioner or any other seat.
And I think that's kind of a testimonial too for the people that if they do have questions, if they do want to be involved or do have concerns, bring it up. I think, I might get burned for this, but I feel like there are a lot of people out there that, have concerns, but they're too afraid to bring it up, and then it just flusters and they get upset about it, and it turns into words that don't need to be exchanged. I think, if you have a concern with the county, if you have an agenda, then, talk about it.
Our phone numbers are on the website. Every one of us will answer our phone. If we don't, leave us a message, we'll call you back. But just talk to us.
Yeah.
I took a phone call from an individual just 10 days ago that was about a 45-minute butt chewing. But when it was over with, I'll never forget this. When it was over with, he said, "I appreciate you answering your phone and taking the time to talk to me, and we're still friends."
Yeah.
And to me, that's what it's all about. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. I love that. Well, is there anything else from you, Robert, that you want to mention? We rolled through all of our questions, and is there anything else from you?
No, I love Franklin County, and I want to help it succeed, and nothing more than I'd appreciate your vote on May 19th.
Yeah. Well, we really appreciate your time, Robert. We know it's Sunday and you've got a family at home, but appreciate you taking time out of your day to come and sit with us for a little bit, and hopefully we can help get the word out on these things.
Okay, well, thanks, guys, for what you're doing.
Thank you, Robert.
We want to welcome Joe Steele. He is one of our candidates running for county commissioner here in Franklin County. What district are you running there for, Joe?
District 2.
District 2. That's awesome. We got Cody, co-host Cody here hanging out. How's it going, Cody?
Good. How are you guys?
Good. Both Cody and I, we really appreciate your time coming out here on a Sunday to record this, Joe. It's we know it's pulling time away from your family, but we just think it's super important for the community to get to know our candidates and understand who you guys are and what you're doing. So we want to start off with the question of, what made you decide to run for county commissioner, and tell us a little bit about yourself with that question.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
This is great. You guys have a podcast here in Preston, Idaho. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I got a call from you, Camp.
Still fairly new, but it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun.
That's great. It's good to have fun. When I was 17, I joined the Marine Corps.
Wow.
And so I've always had a mind to do service, and to try and make a difference in any way I can. And this looked like an opportunity where I could make a difference. So that's kind of why I decided to throw my hat in the ring and see what happened.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, first, thank you for your service and appreciate you running for the community of Franklin County.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah. How long were you in the Marine Corps?
I was in the reserves for 8 years.
Wow.
So
that's super cool. And we were talking a little bit before the podcast that you are a local out in the Riverdale area.
Yep, out in Riverdale.
And so does that mean you were born and raised in this area? Or
I was born in Oregon.
Okay.
And we lived in Boise till the 5th grade.
Yeah.
And we moved here on my grandpa's farm. So my grandpa's from here, from the Whitney area. He was the little brother to Ezra Taft Benson.
Oh, really?
So Valdo Benson was my grandpa.
Really?
Wow.
So had a ranch up in Mean Creek.
Wow.
So I always say we were raised in Riverdale and Mean Creek because we spent most of our summers up there chasing cows and fixing fence and
That's cool.
catching fish.
Yeah.
The local rancher. That's way fun.
So it's been good. It's a great area. Been to other places. We lived in Arizona for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
And my wife's from Mexico. And so we've actually recently been back, not too
Just
long,
recently came back?
And so that's another reason why I'm running, but maybe you'll have a question on that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, cool. Well, we've pulled questions from the community. We reached out to the community, pulled some questions there. And so one of our questions that came in from somebody is, we all know that Preston is a growing area. We see homes popping up left and right, and it's coming. I mean, it's just the way it is. Whether Preston or Franklin County wants it or not, it's coming to us. What does smart growth look like to you in Franklin County?
Well, I think you're right. I think it is coming. When I left for a few years and came back,
Yeah,
the traffic on the highway 34 down there was doubled. But
yeah,
and so it took a little getting used to. But, there's a lot of great families that have come from different places. They felt inspired to come out here. And, you look at, the pioneers that came out here, there was nothing.
yeah,
They had to build canals and everything. And so, there's land here. And, what's the highest and best use of it? Well, like my grandpa said, when he bought the 600-acre ranch in Mean Creek, what's he going to raise up there, Grain, alfalfa. And he said, no, I'm going to raise grandkids. So I was one of those grandkids that was raised up there on the ranch, on the land. So smart growth, I mean, I don't really know what that term means. Growth is going to happen. A lot of people are, they don't want to see the infringement on farmland and things like that. They came here, they're here, and they don't want to see someone else come and, build a home on, across the street from them.
yeah,
So I'm a more liberty-minded person that, if someone owns land, I think they should have the ability to do what they want with it.
Yeah.
If they, for example, my parents, I actually talked to them. I was going to buy an acre from them,
Oh, okay.
to build a house for my in-laws.
Yeah.
But I've recently found out that I can't get just an acre. I got to get 2.5 acres
Oh, really?
from them based off of what changed recently by the county commissioners last year. that, has restricted growth.
Yeah.
And so, when the government wants to restrict wholesale on the entire community, the whole county, um, I'm not for that. I'm for more, individual property rights, individual rights. So whether that's smart or whether that's
that makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, absolutely. If you own the property, you ought to have some say in what's going to happen in that piece of land or whatever you've got going on.
Yeah, you should have more say than, a 3-board. I mean, obviously there's some regulations, but
yeah, absolutely.
And it also increased the costs. You just built a house. I'm sure it wasn't cheap.
Yeah.
If you had to do it on 2.5 acres, the land cost is going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
And one of their reasons was, we don't want to infringe on the farmland, but, if I take 1 acre from my parents, that's less than the 2.5 acres. That's going to infringe on his field,
Yeah.
Plus the cost goes way up. And so, I'm for bringing costs down. There's a lot of young couples that want to build their houses and so make that easier for them to do that, not harder.
I like that a lot.
One goal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll just roll. I mean, the next question we've got here kind of ties into it, but it's ag has always been the backbone of Franklin County. In your mind, is Franklin County holding on to an ag attitude or morphing into suburbia? What are your priorities in that regard, and what can you feel like you can do about that?
Well, I don't know if it's the government's role to say, okay, this is going to stay ag forever, The highest and best use of the land, what is that? If someone builds a house and has a garden and has their fruit trees, well, they're still growing things, and plus they're growing their family. And so it is a rural backbone. I mean, that's still probably the biggest revenue in the county right now. And so, you'd want to bring some other things that create more revenue and more jobs for people.
Yeah.
But it is inevitable. We're kind of in the pathway of growth coming from Utah and so forth. It's just where we're at.
Yeah.
So
when you have a great place to live, people want to come.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we kind of mentioned it in another podcast too. There's a lot, it's a hard economy these days that, farmers and ranchers live in. It's, beef prices are high, but dairy prices could be low. And, on a drought year like this, alfalfa and stuff, it's hard to grow. So prices on that's probably going to come up. And, this day and age, a lot of your ranchers that have done it their whole life, sometimes their kids don't want to take it over, and so we kind of mentioned in another podcast that ranchers got to do what they got to do. Farmers got to do what they got to do to make a living. And it sucks to see a farmer go sell his 500 acres to a developer that brings houses and homes in and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, those guys have to put food on their table too. And when it gets so hard for a farmer to pay the bills and keep up with the equipment and deal with a drought year and stuff like that, it's, I hope people can see, at least from my perspective too, that sometimes growth just has to happen. And I'm pro ag. My full-time job is in ag. I sell cattle supplements to cows and stuff like that. And Cody, he's an ag-based job. And so we both absolutely love ag.
Me too.
But
I love ag.
Yeah.
Love raising cows. And it's interesting what you said. Some of these farmers, they've invested their whole life in their land and their farm. And sometimes that's kind of their retirement.
Yeah.
And so if they want to sell a couple lots or something, and sometimes it's to their own kids, why make it harder for them to do that and to maybe hang on to more of their land?
Yeah.
So I agree with that, what you said.
Yeah. No, that's just some thoughts. I mean, and I liked what you said too. I'm a local realtor here in town as well. I do that on the side, and a lot of these young couples, I mean, it's tough.
Yeah.
I mean, you go buy a $300,000 home at a 6% interest rate these days, and your payment's $2,300 a month, depending on how much you put down on it. It is hard to buy a home these days. And then rent is through the roof, and you're paying $12 to $15 to $2,000 a month there. And when you're renting, I mean, it's not like you're gaining any equity or nothing off of it. It's just you got to do what you got to do, but you're kind of in some sense or another throwing it away, you know? So it's a tough economy. We had another person throw a question in. So they mentioned, how can we bring more jobs and careers to Franklin County? You know, we've all noticed, as we were just talking about, there's multiple subdivisions popping up, more homes. You know, I know there's 400 homes in Preston, Idaho alone that are coming in the next couple of years. You figure 3 to 4 family members per home, that's 4,000 people. And there aren't a ton of jobs in Franklin County. And I know that's kind of a fine line on whether, you know, a commissioner can do so much about that or not. But, you know, it was a question from the public. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely, you know, less regulation. There's a guy up in Mean Creek that bought a couple lots, and he wanted to create like a little recreation type, you know, with ponies and horses and things. And he had some pushback from, you know, from the local government to do that. And so it's like, man, just make it easier for people to want to come here and be able to create their business here. And it has a lot to do with the land regulations, I think. And so, you know, just easing restrictions, making it a place where people want to come and bring their business. And so if the government is more restrictive, or, you know, there's more regulations, then they'll look at some other place and not bring their business here. Yeah. And some people in government, they don't want the business. They don't want the growth. Yeah. You know, so, but it's inevitable, like you're saying. Yeah. And so I don't think it's the place of the government to restrict and say, you know, no, more regulations, more red tape. Yeah. You know, I'm in favor of less regulation. Yeah. You know, be more business friendly. Right. In any way you can as a government. That would mean making it less burdensome. Yeah. So,
I mean, like you said, Cam, people are moving. 400 homes is what you said. You hope out of those 400, some of those are bringing jobs with them. You know, if they're moving up here, maybe they're bringing a business. And again, that it might not be a sole decision on the commissioners if they're here or not, but it is growth that's happening, and making it easier for those business owners is definitely a bonus in the community. Yeah. We know we need more jobs. It sucks when everybody leaves Preston or Franklin County to go work in Cache County. Yeah. But right now we are limited, but it's just that smart growth. Don't bring so many businesses in that it crushes us. Or still, everybody loves that small town feel.
Yeah, yeah, and you know, I definitely love that small town feel. I mean, but we're all human. We all are trying to put food on our tables and stuff like that. And I mean, I hear it all the time. I say it all the time that, you know, God, like, keep Preston small. We always joke on our podcast, like, that's not an invite to move to Preston, Idaho. Keep our town small. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, off of businesses that come into town, I mean, you collect business tax off of that. That's, you know, I encourage everybody listening to do the research on how taxes work. And when you tax a business, and a lot of that revenue helps, you know, get returned back into the county and be able to build roads and do sidewalks and, you know, do things that we need done in the county. For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
So the next one we've had, and it's been a kind of touchy subject in the past, but currently right now the commissioner meetings are every other Monday at 9 a.m. Here recently they've started recording them on Zoom, but the question would be, what is your stance on the recording and time of commissioner meetings?
I'm glad they're starting to record. I have heard that was kind of a little bit of a battle to get them to do that, but I think that more people, you know, if you can get more people to be involved in any way in government, you know, make it easier, make easier times for them to be there in an afternoon. Definitely do that. You know, you want more input from the community in the county commissioner setting, as they have, you know, they make a lot of decisions for the county. And so to be able to get more people to listen, to participate in local government while they're not at work, that's a no-brainer.
Yeah, it's, you know, and I don't want to bring in my own personal stuff to this. You know, this is for the community, and, you know, but I do want to just touch, you know, I think I like to be a part of the commissioner meetings. You know, I like to be a part of the community. You know, and I'd like to attend some of those meetings. You know, I don't want to go raise heck at every single meeting and be a burden. But, you know, I think that, you know, where commissioners are elected officials, you know, and I think it's important that the community is a part of it.
For sure.
I can definitely see both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you tend to get a lot of people that come in and they just want to raise heck on things, you know, but I also think it's important that the community be as involved as possible in things that go on. I mean, I know, you know, in job stuff, you know, you always mention, you know, too many hats in the ring can be an issue, you know,
Yeah.
but also at the same time, I mean, the things that go on, it affects the whole community. And so,
Yeah, but in those meetings, you want people to come and raise heck, you know,
yeah,
and voice their ideas and
yeah,
share what they're passionate about, you know, to hash it out. And
For
maybe
sure.
better outcomes will come because of that.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
if more people are there that want to be there, then it
Yeah.
will be a better outcome for the county for sure.
yeah. Is that something, I don't know if this is good to ask, is that something that you would try to change, you know, as if you were to get elected as a commissioner? Is that something you would look into changing, you know, the time of the meeting to make it more accessible for the public?
Yeah, from what I understand, that they don't have a whole lot of meetings,
Yeah.
the county commissioners, so I don't see why they couldn't make one at a time that's more accessible for people after work.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's once a week or once.
I think
That's 2 a month. I think
Two
it's
a
every
Is it
other
2 a
Monday.
month? So yeah, that seems
And I
more than reasonable.
being
So I
on
would-
with the fair board, I attend them. I can see both sides of this. You know, I attend them and I look up at that screen. There's not a lot of people logged on to that Zoom meeting, and whether it's because they don't care or time frame with work with a lot of people. I personally, not a commissioner, not trying to put any bad blood on anybody. I think if there was a better time, more people would be logged on, more people would attend. I mean, I want to see it. I listen to all the city council meetings. I try to make all the county commissioner meetings, and not to raise problems like you said, but I mean, I'm a taxpayer of the county. I want to know what's going on, and
Yeah,
I'm
for
sure there's
sure.
other people out there that they could care less.
yeah.
And- but I'm one. I like to know what's going on, and I think, like you said, given every opportunity for the community to listen and be a part of is definitely a great move for commissioners and really in every meeting. I mean, we changed our fair board meeting. We've opened it up. People are allowed to come in. I mean, we never really had them banned, but we want community input. And I
Yeah.
think everybody's kind of going that way. And it might be new with the social media and everything else now, but it's definitely the path you see everybody going to.
Yeah. Yeah. Being involved, I mean, like Cody said, being a part of the fair board, I mean, we're a big group of people that try and put the fair on, but the fair is for the people, you know, and so making it public and sometimes I'm disappointed when we don't have
Yeah.
public input, you know, but we always reserve a little window at the beginning. We just barely started that, but I get disappointed when people don't show up, you know, and have something to say about it, you know.
that's the fair. So the county,
Yeah.
even
Yeah,
more so.
It's for the
Yeah.
county. I mean, we want your opinion. Don't come to us after the fair and say, well, you should have done this. Well, you've been invited all year. Come
Yeah.
tell us before, and let's make it the best. And I think the county commissioner rules the same. Let's make it the best for the majority of the people.
Yeah.
You're never going to please everybody.
Right.
But if we can grab the big majority of them, I think we're doing things the right way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely, yes, I'd
Cool.
to answer your question.
I love it. I love it. Another question here from the public is, what opportunities do you see right now that the county should be taking advantage of?
Well, one opportunity I think is, you know, the federal lands that are in the county, you know, to try and get a little more local control over that, perhaps, for cattle grazing and things like that. But, you know, just allowing opportunities for individuals. So just less regulation. It's just the same thing. You know, I don't think the government's really great at doing a lot of things
Yeah.
themselves, but just allowing, you know, citizens to do their thing without, you know, burdensome
Yeah.
regulations and that kind of thing that I've noticed has happened. It even affected myself, you know, with the land regulations.
Yeah.
So
You know, is there any other agendas you have on that as far as, you know, opportunities that we see, you know, that we should be taking advantage of? I love that answer. I mean, but is there anything else that you feel like we should be doing? Any major changes that you feel like we should be doing? That something that you're really passionate about? I can tell you're passionate about the land stuff, but
Well, I know you mentioned that there's people moving in. There's 400 homes in the Pike, like you said. So maybe just do some campaigning to bring, to see what good businesses, and do a little bit of, advertising, but a little bit of, trying to bring people here, doing a little proactive work that way, and bringing some good businesses that would support the community, and also maintain the rural small town feel of Preston, which everybody loves.
Yeah.
So I don't know exactly how that would look, but
and it's something I think you learn as you go. I think I've heard it before. I talked to a lot of people, and you can try and prepare for a position as much as you want, before you get into it. But I think you learn a lot as you get into it that, teaches and feel like if it makes sense, things aren't always as they seem looking from the outside in. I feel like there's a lot more things going on. If you were to make the commissioner seat, I think you'd learn a lot there too,
Sure, and that's why you'd want input from the community.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's why, to go back to your other question, people like you and other people who, know different things, you want to bring them into it and do more surveys and do more, not just, meeting at 9:00 and you just have a limited perspective with just 3 people that make such big decisions for the county.
Yeah, it's true.
So definitely try and figure out, some online things that can bring the community into it, and so people feel more involved. Because the county does do a lot of things with the individuals in the county.
Yeah. I think that question right there is, we got to read it off and see if he has any other different answers, but I think it's pretty similar to kind of what we just talked about.
Yeah.
But
So we'll read it because it was submitted by somebody. What is your personal agenda? As in, what do you see that needs to change in Franklin County? Any small changes that residents could see a big difference in? And this whole conversation's kind of touched on that. But is there anything else that you've kind of missed that you want to bring up? Not that you have a personal agenda as in you've got to change everything.
Yeah.
But, kind of what is the reason you threw your hat in? What's a goal you're working towards?
Yeah, just more personal responsibility, not when government interferes with, and we've already talked about this.
Yeah.
I have another neighbor that he's got some older vehicles. He's got an old fire truck. And I'm not going to mention any names, but he's, some people don't like to look at those vehicles on his property.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of like a little museum.
Yeah.
Some of his old cars. But, there's a rule that he can't have them. And so he's got to get rid of them.
Yeah.
In the county. And I see that, people don't want junkyards. Look at junkyards, but I don't know, just some things like that less regulation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Less government intrusion on little things, someone doesn't like to look at his car. Some people think they're really awesome.
Yeah. That's
Don't
one of
look
those,
at it,
again, you can't make everybody happy. Because like you said, I could drive by, I'm a firefighter, I love looking at old fire trucks. Ken could drive by and think, oh, there's just a bunch of junk on the side of the road.
Yeah.
So it's hard to, you'll never make everybody happy, but.
Yeah, and I think that's something you got to kind of go off of too. Something like that. Again, it goes back to we're all human.
Mm-hmm.
We all have families. We're all human. We're all technically the same. And so to be upset about somebody having, on their property, it's their property.
Yeah.
It's like my home. We're sitting here in my home recording this podcast. I don't want somebody to walk in and tell me, hey, you can't have your garbage can out front, or you can't, put this sign in your front yard, or, I bought this, I worked my butt off and I, got a loan and got a mortgage and I'm paying for this, let me do what I want to do. This is mine,
Yeah. So there are some little, they're laws, passed by the county commissioners.
Mm-hmm.
They're the ones that, make those laws in the county. And they also sit as, when they have a hearing, they're also the judges on those things.
Yeah.
And so they have a lot of power in the community. But I would like to see less of those laws.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would too.
And not more,
Yeah.
Yeah. Let
Yeah.
people
Like you
kind of
said,
express themselves a little more on their property.
Yeah, I mean, there's nuisance laws and things like that, but
Yeah.
you know, just some little things like that. That's kind of
Yeah. So let's hear a little bit more about you. I mean, what strengths are you going to bring to the role of the commissioner? What do you feel like you could bring to the table that's going to be important for the community, you know?
well. I already talked about the freedom-minded that I have, and that started when I was in the Marines, and I kind of feel like I kind of gained that more
Yeah.
while I was there, and so that would kind of drive my decisions and also make sure that everyone has input in it. And so I've been able to do that with other things. I was, a sergeant in the Marine Corps. Some were just, they would just tell you what to do. I wanted to hear from everybody.
Yeah.
And I think I gained more out of them,
Yeah.
by doing that.
Knowledge that we kind of learned that way instead of pointing the finger.
So
more.
I'm big on that. Learn by not telling people what to do, but listening of their ideas.
Collaboration, because there's so many good people in the county, but I think, like you guys mentioned, a lot of them don't care. Maybe they don't have the opportunity, or so to bring more people into it, I think would benefit.
Yeah,
and I think I could do that.
That's huge. Anything else on your list that you feel like you can bring to the other table that's going to make you stand out a little bit different than everybody else?
Well, just my love for the community.
Yeah.
I just really love it. My heritage is here.
Yeah.
I've got a bunch of kids that are going to grow up here, and probably their kids. I've got siblings that are raising their families here.
Yep.
I got 9 siblings, and there's, I think 5 of us are 5 or 6 are in the county.
Wow.
So, and before they weren't.
Yeah.
And so I got a big stake here for, I want things to go well. And so I'm passionate about that. And
yeah, I think that's huge, to be passionate for the community. Yeah. I mean, and I just want to say too, for the people listening, that I mean, it's not a small thing to run for commissioner, and it's not a small decision. I think you look around and everybody wants to be involved in the community. And I get everybody has busy lives, but we have 2 running for District 2, and we have 2 running for, is it District
1?
District 1. And, that's not a lot of people out of 14,000 people that are just in Preston. I mean, what's in the county? Do you know how many people are in the county?
I don't know what the actual number's at. It's
16,000.
It's a fair
16,000.
amount. Yeah, I think in Preston City you're around 6.
Yeah.
And then the county has another 10 or so.
Yeah. So
I didn't want to run, but then I noticed there was nobody running.
Yeah.
On the last, I think I did the very last day that you could do it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I tried to get my brother to do it.
Yeah.
Because he's older and wiser than me.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I got to do this and that. My dad, I'm like, come on.
Get it done.
So no one wanted to do it. So, throw my hat in the ring.
And here you are.
Here I am.
I appreciate you putting your name out there and your ideas and everything and running for this spot. Like Cam said, there's not many doing it, and I think a lot of them aren't willing to put themselves out there. So I appreciate it, and again, thank you for your time in the service.
Yeah.
That's huge.
That is huge.
Thanks for having me on. Thanks for doing the podcast and
Yep.
having people on and being involved in the community like you are.
Yeah, and
Great.
and we appreciate you answering all the questions honestly, and just for the people listening, I hope that I encourage you guys to do research on the commissioners, do research on what a commissioner does, because it's such an important role for our community. Like I say, it's a huge thing for you to be doing what you're doing, and we just sure appreciate your time.
Yep.
Thanks for having me on.
Yep. Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.